we had a friendship breakup for like 3 years.
Gosh,
I know.
You sure it wasn't 2?
I think maybe it was 2.5.
Because I know we had lunch once.
Raise a glass to the past, present, and future you with actress Danielle Moné Truitt as she dives into the beautiful complexities of life's journey through real, transparent conversation. All the women I've been made me into.
Hey, it's Danielle Moné Truitt, and we are back with another episode of All the Women I've Been. Thank you, everyone who has been watching. Thank you to everybody that's subscribed, who comments. I really, really, really appreciate whatever feedback you guys are giving. And the episodes have been doing really, really well. So I'm just happy to be creating this really cool, special community where we can come together and just talk about life and be real with ourselves. And yeah, just thank everybody who has given encouragement and shared the show with other people. So please continue, subscribe, like, share, engage, and we're gonna continue to keep growing and discovering more of who we are. So today I have a very, very special guest, someone that is very dear to my heart because she is my best friend. She's my best friend. And her name is Rhea Williams. So we're going to welcome her to All the Women I've Been. Hey, girlfriend.
Hey, girl.
Welcome.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here.
Yay. Hi, people. Hi, everybody.
So, this is a conversation I have been, both of us have been anticipating for sure. So, I'm sure we got a lot to talk about, so we should just jump in.
We sure should.
Today, we are going to be talking about soul friendships. And I know the other day when we were on the phone, I think we were on the phone, and I was telling you that I feel like we have like a soulmate connection for friendship. And we were talking about how some people, they might not.
It's hard to understand.
It's hard to understand what that is.
Yeah.
So I figured we could kind of start there,
Sure.
and talk about how important friendship is. Like, as you know, friendship is very, very important to me. I mean, I even preached a sermon back in the day. I used to preach.
Yes, she was.
Preach. Just about how important friendship is. And I think a lot of times people are looking to, find a soulmate romantically to be that relationship that fulfills their life. And they spend so much time just focused on love relationships that they kind of take for granted the friendships that they have in their lives and building those up and getting a lot of needs that they might have in their life met through the friendships that they have. Yeah. And even in the Bible, it talks a lot about friendship, and what friendship means, even more than marriage. And I know that they relate, Jesus Christ and the church, that's like a marriage relationship. But I really, truly believe with my whole heart that there's a lot of breakthrough that can happen through friendships. There's a lot of meaning and fulfillment that can happen through real, good, authentic friendship. And I truly believe that's what I have in you. And I'm very grateful to the Lord that He brought us into each other's lives when He did.
Most certainly, I agree. I'm just so grateful. I think the unique part about our friendship that I love, and I think that makes it, every relationship is different, but we show up as who we are. And I feel like from the very beginning, there's never a competition. There's just, you are you and I am me, unapologetically. And I think those are the factors, at least for the authenticity of it, I think is what has allowed us to ebb and flow through the seasons of life. So I just love you.
Yes. Yeah. So we met, I'm gonna say 16, 15 years ago?
7-ish.
Yeah.
6-ish, 7-ish.
Yes. Yeah. And I was in my 20s, so were you. Yeah, you were in your late 20s.
I was the latest of the 20s.
And I moved to LA, was definitely not really expecting to gain another, like a lifelong friend. I think when you're in your 20s, you're like, I have my friends, and people that you went to college with or went to high school with or grew up with, and you're you're not thinking about having new friends, and there's even that saying like no new friends or whatever. Yeah. And you were a great example to me of like that does not exist, and that is, it's probably something that hinders a lot of people's growth. But we met through my ex-husband. You were already friends with him, already had a relationship with him.
Oh yeah.
And I think how we became friends was even, I feel like it was the Lord. It was the Lord.
I do too.
For sure. Like, I remember when it was an event he was doing. I wanted to come. I didn't have anybody to go with. Yep. And I had just moved to LA. Me and him were just friends, at that time. And he was like, oh, you should come with my homegirl Rhea. And I'm like, well, I don't want to just be like popping up on her. She don't know me. Like,
He was doing his due diligence.
Right. And I'm happy. I'm very happy that, he kind of brought us together and that we were able, to come into a close friendship. I feel like at that time, moving to LA, it was a whole new community group of people. And most of the people that I was friends with at that time were because of him. They were his friends, you know? And I feel like you were the first person that just tried to get to know me, outside of him,
Yeah, and I think one thing I'll give a shout out to the men out there. I've had a couple of brothers make matchmakes with their wives-to-be, but the truth is he knew what he was intending.
Right.
And obviously I am an advocate of platonic friendships. Everybody ain't able, but I am. And I think he was doing his due diligence because obviously, everyone can't grasp how you can actually have a male platonic friend. So he was doing his thing to make sure that we were going to be able to keep that friendship. So
yes.
I appreciate that.
And I totally do. And then we found out that we kind of dated we dated the same person, like after each other, not at the same time. But we didn't know each other. And so that was, I think a lot of people may not have been able to be friends after finding that out, because like competition comes in and like comparison comes in. And for us, I think it bonded us more.
I do too, because obviously it wasn't right for either one of us.
Exactly.
Shout out to that person.
Exactly. So, not just, of course we can talk about our friendship, but friendship in general in your life, how important is it? How much has it transformed you as a person? And, what advice would you give to people? I know some people who don't really value friendship like that.
I do too, and it's always just been something that has intrigued me. One, because we all have different familial situations, and since I was a small kid, friendship is like in my soul. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not trying to be too spooky deep, but I am a spooky deep person, so I'm gonna be me. But I think God, he purposes us and causes people to align on our paths to bring out whatever that purpose is for you and for me. And for me, friendship has always been it. Yeah. And so I just value it. And to your point earlier, I'm a strong advocate that a lot of people are chasing after love and chasing after this fictitious picture, but really relationships teach us how to love, how to forgive, how to show up, how to confront, how to tell the truth, how to just roll with a person unconditionally. Yeah. And I think one thing I will bring up is not necessarily, I don't know what God's plan is, but people always speak about unconditional love in the context of parenthood. Yes. Well, what if someone never has kids?
Right.
How will I learn unconditional love?
Yeah, how will you
so
experience
for me,
that?
How? So I just think my friendships, I treat them as such, and it always is like a little bit of a spark when people say, I don't do friendship.
Yeah, I've learned that's kind of a red flag for me. Like when I meet people who, I'm not saying you have to have a ton of friends. Like, you know what I mean? Like you ain't got to have 1,000 different friends and friend groups. Yeah. But there should be a few people in your life that you can confide in, that you can go to.
Yeah, for support.
For support. Journey. Exactly. And if you don't have that, that is a red flag to me. And even with women that are like, oh, I don't do women. It's like, what? Yeah. Like, I have a hard time with that too. Like there's a reason, there's a disappointment there, there's a fear there, there's something there that you're not completely acknowledging. Yeah. I know when I was married, I definitely needed relationships outside of that relationship to get certain needs met because you can't put pressure on one person to
all.
fulfill all of your needs. I
Yeah.
think it's unfair. It puts too much pressure on the other person. And sometimes I need to talk about you. Like,
Or to navigate through challenges.
right. Sometimes I
sure.
believe when I'm in a relationship, I don't badmouth the person that I'm with because I love them and I'm with them for a reason.
Yeah.
But I need a different perspective. Sometimes I go to you about even the current relationship that I'm in when I'm confused about something, or I'm like, hey, like, can you help me like with this? Am I being dramatic? Am I being selfish?
Yeah.
And it's good to have somebody in your corner who, number one, knows you, and because we've known each other through a lot of different seasons of life.
Yeah.
So it's not just about saying everything that's going to make me feel good, but it also is, there's a familiarity there. You know me, you know the way I've navigated other situations, and you can give me perspective that's not just there to stroke my ego.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I value that more in my life now, with the age that I'm at, with the things that I'm navigating. I don't need yes men,
Sure.
I need people who love me, who know me, who want the best for me, where, like what you said earlier, there's no competition there, there's no jealousy there, and they can be there for me to where I know, okay, this is a safe place where I can go to get encouragement, or to get, if I need to be corrected, you know?
Yeah.
We don't agree all the time.
No.
Like, there's things you tell me and I be like, and same.
No, you're right.
You are right.
And I also,
appreciate
if you
it.
don't mind me sharing, I also think a lot of people crave and want friendship, but they don't show up as a friend, or they want someone to be vulnerable or to share things,
Right.
but they don't offer that. And I think, I think that's one blessing we've always been able to offer, like your sensitivity and sharing and being vulnerable and vice versa. I think it's opened that gateway, because some people just don't know how. They don't know how to communicate, or they don't know how to open up, or you know what I mean? So I think that's another opportunity friendship teaches us.
Yeah,
how to do
I
that.
think, I have a great set of girlfriends, and I have a few guy friends, and I think it wasn't until I got into adulthood that I've always been very friend focused, and I think when I was younger, I found myself like wanting to be accepted. Like I always kind of felt like an outsider, even in my friendship groups, for whatever reason. And I have friends that are from high school or even younger that I'm still friends with today, and all friendships are different,
Very.
But in my adulthood, I think with you in particular, I found that, what am I saying? I found and I think this is where the soul part comes in, just a deeper understanding of, and a deeper compassion for who I am and understanding of who I am. Like, sometimes because I am emotional, I get very passionate about what I'm talking about, and some people who don't understand the way I communicate take it like I'm being brash, or I got an attitude. Why you got an attitude, or whatever, Yeah. And there's been a couple people, you and another friend of ours, Erica, Angela, like they just kind of understand my vibe, like in the way that I flow, like even though we're not the same.
Correct.
Not
at all.
Even with them, they have completely different personalities, but they're not easily offended by me. I'm not having to like coddle and walk on eggshells. I can just be myself, and I've always appreciated that. Or like when we first became friends, how much we would text message back in. We would be texting all day,
Jesus,
like
I know.
all day, and all friendships aren't that way,
compatible.
right? But when you find compatibility in a friendship, it's not. And I have other friends that I don't text with all the time, and I don't feel any kind of way about it. It's just when it feels authentic and just natural to do, then for me, those are the best kind of friendships for me, not ones that I have to like force or one person is doing all the work or doing all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. And I think it's about safety. I mean, when you think kind of back to the context earlier, people pour into their love relationships so much and have all these expectations where you can just be yourself, good, bad, ugly, and different. But in friendship, it's not our job to be cookie cutter same people.
Right.
So the people you mentioned, and myself included, it's been a journey to allow you to be yourself, however that, and you to do for me.
Yeah.
Not for us to have the same opinion, show up the same way, have the same temperament, that's not, friendship is like, hey, okay, my friend is this way, I'm this way, let her be her.
Right.
And I can give her advice and say, hey, but you be you. And I think you've done that for me too.
Yeah. And when we first became friends, I feel I was coming from a place of not being confident in just, I wasn't completely confident in myself as far as like, hey, this is me 100%. If you did something that I don't like, let me address it, let me, and it's not that you didn't really do many things I didn't like per se, but I feel as time went on, I was able to just kind of let my hair down a little more. And because of things we experienced where we had a break in our friendship, now I feel like we're at a even deeper level of just authenticity and realness. You know,
100%.
When we first became friends, it was the dynamic of me being married, you being friends with my ex-husband.
Correct.
So for me, there was even though I felt like, okay, this is a great connection that I have with this person because she's also friends with my husband, there was a part of me that was like, just not completely 100% open. You know what I mean?
I'm sure.
Because I didn't want to complain to you about him. He's a great person.
Sure.
But for me, there was like I know that we're best friends. And then I kind of felt bad too, because I feel like I took over y'all friendship.
That just, God had a purpose, period. I give you props, and I want to say thank you, because some people don't let any women into, so I thank you for that. Because we have never had anything but a platonic friendship, but the truth is when you get married, every couple has different rules.
Right.
So the fact that you even, there was a part of you that, and I just think it was God's plan, period, because there was no force. We did not try. It was just, we clicked.
Right.
And nobody could do nothing about it.
Right. Right. And he was gracious.
He was.
Thank you,
Shout
Kelvin.
Out. Thank you, Kel, because you could also.
Yeah, because he could have been like, that's my friend. You know what I mean?
Bro.
But, we ended up, I feel we're closer at one point, than y'all, just.
Well, a husband has to respect his wife, you know? So
right.
I did learn. Honestly, you all were the couple that taught me that, because I was the single homegirl, okay?
Yeah.
Looking like how I'm just playing.
Period. How you look.
I'm a tomboy a little bit, but some people just cannot handle any attractive women, and God bless them. You got to have boundaries and hedges of protection. I get it. We had church in the mix, which we didn't even talk about that, but that's true. So both of you all, I give props to, because you had space for me.
Yeah, and then we didn't meet. So some people, you meet and both of you are single, or both of you are married, both of you have kids.
Right.
Or whatever. We met and I was basically about to be engaged.
Yeah.
Didn't have any kids at the time, but I was going through, getting engaged and married, and you were single on the road managing. Woo. Just in completely different points in our lives.
Yeah.
And then I got married and I started having kids, and I think it was unique that we were able to still keep a heart connection, even though we were in different times in our lives. Now, a question I don't think I've ever asked you, which I will ask.
Ooh, I'm here for it.
Did you find it difficult when I was married and having kids and you were single? And I know that and we're going to talk about this in another podcast episode.
Okay.
But just on a friendship level, was there ever a struggle with, like, I want to be married? I have so many friends that are married and I'm not married yet, or I want to have kids and I'm not. My friend has kids, I don't have them yet, because I know sometimes people struggle with, like,
I know. And honestly, I have to give props to you and Erica, because you are the two friends who were in different seasons than me, not once. And I give you credit for that. You guys were intentional. And so as you know, I've always been everybody's auntie. I've been babysitting since I was 11. But I started to say, God, Danielle, thank you for even to have a conversation when you got kids all around. I'm like, how have we been able to keep this up?
Right.
You made an intentional effort, I have to say. So no, not once was I jealous, not one. I mean, I guess to your point, I was doing so much work-wise.
Yeah.
And I just, I didn't get married till later in life. But yeah, it never once was an issue ever.
Yeah.
So
good.
yeah.
Yay.
No, I mean,
I
when
didn't
you
feel like
valued
it
our
was,
friendship,
but I
it
just
never
know-
changed. And neither
Right.
did Erica. Not once.
Yeah.
It was no break. It was no, oh, she married now, so she need. No, it was like a flow.
I have never had that vibe about me,
No.
And I don't know. I think it's because I do value friendships. Friendship is like very high on my level, on my scale of relationship.
Yeah,
So I think that might be part of why. It's not like, oh my God, I've been waiting to get married my whole life. Now I'm married. It's all about my husband and forget my friends. Like, that's not.
Well, I have something to share too. I think what we haven't acknowledged is, and I kind of said it in the beginning, there is a soul connection, but there's also a purpose that you mentioned it earlier. And for those that are Christian or that read the Bible, when you said that, in the Bible, it talks about marriage being the bride of Christ. Well, I believe that God demonstrates lessons. Some people will never go to church, they'll never read the Bible, but through relationship or through experience, they can learn things. And we were in charge of a women's ministry for many years. Yeah. So the fact that God was present in our relationship, I think, is where that depth came from. We weren't just homegirls who liked the same things, liked to turn. There was a depth
purpose,
there,
a deeper purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So one of the things I don't feel is talked about enough, and I think people are, the older we get, I think we're experiencing it more, is breakups with friendships. And having a friend that you no longer either feel close to, or something happens, there's a shift or change, a life thing happens, and you're no longer friends. You take a break in your friendship, or the friendship ends, or somebody did something, whatever it might be. We don't talk about the heartache that comes with certain relationships ending. We talk about breakups romantically all the time.
Yeah,
we do. And I think it's important to talk about it and to acknowledge it. We had a friendship breakup for like 3 years.
Gosh,
I know.
You sure it wasn't 2?
I think maybe it was 2.5.
Because I know we had lunch once. We did have lunch that one day.
We had lunch twice.
It changed. No,
we had lunch twice.
We did. No.
I think.
I feel like it was 2 years. But you better than me. Girl, don't get me to count.
It might be 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe almost 3.
I mean,
God,
God,
it was a long time.
So
it felt long. I know.
It felt very long.
It felt very long. And so I'll speak on what it meant to me. So it was the first time I had ever experienced a friendship breakup, really. Like, other friends of mine, they either moved away and we just kind of, things fizzle out, we lost touch or whatever, Yeah. But I never had like a falling out with a friend, or like a misunderstanding that kind of got exacerbated,
Yeah.
to the point where it's like, well, I don't really know what to do about it, And for me, I was dealing with a marriage breakup and a friendship breakup at the same time.
Yep.
So I was devastated.
Yeah, so was I.
Your mind tries to tell you, well, at the time, I was like, listen, I'm going through a divorce or whatever this is, a separation, divorce. Right. I can't manage what I'm trying to do, save my marriage over here, and then deal with whatever's happening over here.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I wasn't in a place where I could do that emotionally, especially with what I was dealing with. So I think I had to deal with our breakup. I had to deal with it after, or as things started to kind of wrap up with my marriage. Then I was kind of able to sit back and reflect a little bit.
Yeah.
But friendship breakups, to me, are just as devastating, if not more, than divorce or marriage breakups, because sometimes you just don't understand, like, how somebody that you confided in, or somebody that you were so close to at one point, how you're not seeing eye to eye. You know, like, how don't we understand each other?
Well, you know, there wasn't one, it was a slow break. Like, and it wasn't even an intentional break. I don't think there was ever a time that we're like, we can't be friends.
No, right.
It was not. We never said that. But it was a slow break. But honestly, to the question earlier about me being, but you and Kelvin were both my best friends. And I think I never understood, you know, it was hard because then there was a lot of people in the mix, there was a lot of opinions in the mix, and even though I gave you props in terms of like boundaries, I was in your front row.
Right.
You know, both your children are my godchildren, we ran ministry together, so I was literally like, I don't know how I did it for so many years, but then to see a relationship break and to try, that's when you know you're connected. I was feeling like, I guess how children might feel during a divorce.
Yeah.
I felt that, and it became too heavy. So I don't think we never said, oh, we had a big fight, and it just was like a slow break, and unfortunately some misunderstandings in there too.
Right. Yeah, because there was one time I was like, should I send her an email? I thought about, I was like, should I send her an email and just be like, thank you. Well, no, it was like a thank you for the, good riddance.
Some people do it. Hey, that's
thank you for the time. You know, I just never could do it. Yeah, I could never do it. But I have stopped speaking. So I have one other friend that I didn't really speak to for a long time, kind of recently. And that was a completely different situation.
Yeah.
But I know with you, there would be times where I would just be like, dang, like I would think of you, or, you know, I would miss you. You know?
Same.
And I would just be sad, but there was just nothing I could do about it. So finally, I said, you know what? I think I was talking to my mom, because she was like, have you talked to Rhea? Like, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, no. I was like, I said, listen, I said, if we're supposed to be friends again, then maybe it'll come back around.
Yeah.
I said, but I don't want to force anything, you know? I don't want to force anything. I just don't know what to do about it.
Same,
you know?
same. And I know, well, to your point, there was one day, and I know Erica could speak to this, and Aunt Wanda, shout out to the aunties in St. Louis. But, you know, it's important to have wise people around you, because people who really know you, and I think others knew we had a very close friendship. I never had a day that I was okay with it. So that really, I think that separation helped deepen our relationship, because I'm like, I don't feel right. It did not feel right. And so it helped to kind of have that space, because then it was up to us to reconcile. And then I know the advice that was given to me was, just keep a little space in your heart open. Right. And it was almost the same, like, just keep your space, you know, keep the space open.
Yeah.
You know, because when you don't have the words to say, an email just ain't gonna make it. You know, like, then when distance comes into play, then it feels almost disingenuous. Right. You're like, I ain't talked to you in so long, now you just want to jump back normal.
I know there was a time you DM'd me, and you said, like, and this shows, like, when you're offended about something, the person could have the best intentions in the world, but because you're offended about something, you're gonna be like, well, why she didn't say?
Yeah, the filter.
Exactly. So I think you DM'd me, and you were like, I hope you're well. I'm sure you are, or something. And I was just like, why is she assuming that I'm well? Like,
you look well.
Because I wasn't though. I think I had already booked Law and Order, so I was out here.
Yeah.
But I was stressed out, like dealing with co-parenting and just, you know, I was kind of still in the thick of it, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, if she really wanted to know how I was doing, she would just ask me, how are you doing? So that I could actually answer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you say, hope you're well, for me, it's just like, well, I don't know what to, you know, because we haven't been talking, like, what do I say? No, I'm not well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but at that time, I also didn't have it in me to be like, can you just ask me how I'm doing?
So much time it went by that point, too.
I know. But I also understand that was your way of trying to, you know, just like an olive branch or something, you know?
Well, you know, there were so many different voices in the mix, and so much time had went by, and so I just was, and I knew, and like once space and offense kicks in, I'm like, one, this isn't right, but then I'm like, what she thinks that is going on is definitely not it. So I felt like I had to do something to show you, like, hey, can we have a conversation? Because I just knew at that point it was too many people speaking for me or speaking for you, or people love to thrive when there's dissension. They love to kind of get in the mix and make it worse, and that also affected me in a way. So yeah, I'm glad.
Yes, because not to get into too much detail, but because the same person that made sure that we had a bond early on was then very hurt when things didn't, when things ended up the way they did.
Sure.
So I think it's like the same energy that that brought us together was kind of like the same energy that made it a little hard for us to stay together in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Which and I'm not casting any blame that way, but it was like I know I said to you at one point, or did I? I don't know if I said this to you actually. I might have said it to somebody else.
That's okay.
But I was like, you know what? He needs her more than I do, and not that I didn't need you. Well, I know you felt that way.
Well, because I said it seems like you're well. Like, he wasn't in the same place. And again, if I'm equally close to both of y'all, and one person has a community and a safety net and a place to be raw, hurt, and broken.
Right.
And I knew I had it put me in a like,
right. So I said, I was like, let me just let go. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna let go. And it seems like he needs her friendship. Which
really I needed you too. You guys are different.
Exactly.
Different benefits.
Yeah, so I kind of was just like, I'm gonna let it go. I'm not gonna fight him for your friendship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was definitely hard for me. There was milestones, that were happening in my life, and like I said, when we had lunch that time, and it was like we were gonna try to rebuild our friendship, but then I was like, well, what? Like, rebuild what? I felt at that time I was like, what's wrong with our friendship?
Yeah,
what are we
never
rebuilding?
really had an issue. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
We never had.
It was just so much weird energy, and like you said, so many people around, so much talk. So just even there was somebody I talked to that later down the road that was like, oh, I didn't want to reach out to you because I didn't know how you would react, because other people reached out to you and you didn't react well to them. And I'm like, well, who? Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, Rhea. I'm like, shut up. Number one, shut up, because you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what you're talking. The person, I love them to death, and they were hearing that from someone else. Yeah. Like, oh, well, she wasn't open to her own best friend, so why would you reach out to her? But like I said, it's like hurt feelings that makes a person say those things to other people. Yeah. So then I just felt completely isolated, and but when that person brought that to me, I was like, no, that's actually not what happened.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
And by that time, me and you were cool again.
Okay.
But I was like, no, that's not what happened. But I was happy after time went by, and people talk about how time heals wounds and stuff, but and there is a truth to that, but also like stepping away, it's okay to step away from something for a time and then try to revisit it later when the emotions have died down, when there's been understanding, you've had time to understand yourself, you've had time to go through other things in your life that help give you better understanding of certain situations.
Sure.
So when you did, I think I reached out to you to say, and it's funny because it was like a couple months I had been like wanting to reach out to you to tell you like, oh, I'm gonna have the boys, for the summer time. So if you wanna, because that was the part that was weird for me. It's like she's their godmother, but she only sees the kids when they're with him.
Their dad,
And I'm like, that doesn't make, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
So so I was like, okay, let me just
I
let her
texted you
know.
for Mother's Day, and that's what your
Yes,
response.
that's what it was.
I
Yes,
said, Happy Mother's Day, and
yes.
you told me your whole. I was like, yay!
Right. I was like, well,
Oh,
I'm gonna have the kids. Like, if you want to see them while I have them for the summertime. And so I was happy that you were like, oh yeah, I would love to see them, and you too. And I was like, oh,
Well, yeah.
I was like, okay, like, because you just, at that point, we just hadn't really communicated much at all, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool,
Yeah, and we haven't, this is a whole nother podcast episode, but the real elephant in the room is that we had a heavy call kind of being in church and being in ministry. That's the whole dynamic that really factored into the weight of how this played out, and that'll just be another episode for another day.
Right.
Too much to get into.
Right.
But truly, I think, again, kind of thinking about the root of our friendship and you being able to really be you, that was just our bond. That, when you throw a whole bunch of other weight and you as a first lady,
Yeah, it was too.
There was a lot of other dynamics.
A lot. So I was happy when you reached out and we were able to talk, and it was just I think both of us came into it with a very different lens. At that point.
Yeah.
So the next part, I would like to just talk a little bit about how to reconcile friendships. And some friendships you'll be able to reconcile, and then other friendships are friendships that you just have to let go. And knowing when knowing what's appropriate. And I feel like with me and you, when we were able to talk and, things were brought to light, apologies were made, and, I don't think we rushed into like, we're right back where we left off. Like it took some time to get back to where we are now.
Yeah.
And I feel like our friendship is deeper than it even was then.
I agree.
Because I know I can be my whole authentic self.
Yeah.
Even though I felt free to be me around you, there was still the weight of being a first lady, being married to Kelvin, now I don't have those, there's no hindrance there, and you're a little bit older than me. I'm the oldest of my siblings. So I think too, I kind of looked at you as like a big sister a little bit too. And I think that was part of the issue before. It was like the things I was struggling with, I had this issue of not wanting to let people down. And I think that was part of my, something that I struggled with in our friendship too. Cause I was like, I don't want to let people down with, the things that I'm feeling, struggling with. Not knowing if my 10, like I used to say.
I was just about to bring that example up.
If my 10
can
would
be held by me.
Well,
this is, again, another support to the point. So you're having that storyline, and my storyline is, man, like, whoever's in my presence, if you're my best friend, like soul sister, you should be able to be real with me.
Right.
So then I'm over here kind of letting I wouldn't say offense, but I was just like, I guess ego. It's like, well, dang, am I projecting something that, and I really, that's like now I'm in therapy because people, it's something about me that presents that anytime you can't be yourself or there's something someone's giving off, now I'm thinking, well, dang, like I'm not perfect. Like I understand. So it kind of just perpetuated that narrative. Like, you don't let me down. Are you kidding me? Have you seen some of the choices I've made? You have. Okay. We're not talking, that's another podcast. So I'm like, what is there to let down? It was just such a disappointment and I'm up here like, well, it almost makes me want to, like lead with my flaws. Like, I'm human.
Right, so. And after we came back together, when we went through our reconciliation period, I was able to see more of your point and why you were hurt in the situation. Yeah. And the way I was coming at it was like, I don't want to involve, first of all, I don't want to let you down. Number two, I know you're friends with him. I don't want to involve you in what I got going on. It's not fair. I felt like there was a part of it that wouldn't be fair for you to hold certain things because it's like, I know you're really close to him and I know you guys are best friends.
For sure.
And so if I divulge these certain things that I'm feeling or doing, then I'm expecting you to hold those things for me.
Well, I would encourage you guys to talk. I mean, you know me. I'm a
Well,
posture
yeah.
myself. And maybe what I learned is some people, they purposely don't go to people that they know are going to
Because I wasn't ready.
Yeah,
I
you weren't
wasn't-
ready. And it ain't my place to force you to deal with things or him to deal with things. Again, this is a whole, I learned so much though. How else would I have learned that? We both grow through that. We grew through that. So I'm glad. Like all of this is working
and I'm
for
like,
me.
I want to have friendship and relationships with people that I can be 110% who I am. I cannot be that with everyone, and that's just wisdom and growing older, growing up. You know, there's certain people in your life that it's like you know who they are, what your relationship is with them, and it's not even about you're not good enough to get my 10, but like I'm not giving my kids my 10, they're my kids. Like there's certain things they can handle at certain ages. When they get older, I'll divulge more. There's certain people, you know, I pray with you. So it's like there's a level of intimacy that we have because we pray together 5 days a week, sometimes 6. That I have with you that maybe another friend of mine doesn't have with me. And it's not because I don't trust them, or it's not that. It's just the dynamic of the relationship. But when I went through that season of my life, I realized like, well, damn, like I do want to have friendships or relationships with people where I don't have to hide parts of me.
Yeah,
you know.
And one thing I want to normalize, and I pray that we can do this. Space is not bad. We go through different seasons in life, and I know I was single most of that time, and I went through breakups. I went through working in entertainment, being gone all the time, and you just don't relate with every friend the same. So I feel like people get so uncomfortable, or let's say we roll tight every day. The season changed. Yeah. Maybe people go through depression. People go through moving to other cities. There's so many things that cause the seasons to change. It doesn't mean the love for the friend is different.
Right.
But people do not embrace break or seasons in friendship very well.
Yeah.
And I've had, I've learned how to kind of ebb and flow and still show love to people. Right.
And I got to experience going through a rough patch with another friend of mine where I did take several months of a break from talking to them because I needed time to process what the friendship was, whether I wanted to move forward or not, with the friendship. And just for people out there who are going through a weird time with a friend, or I know some people, they've been really close to someone and all of a sudden one of them is like just doesn't want to be close anymore, and it's devastating for the other person. But I think if you just embrace change and know that through the space or through the period where you are not friends, or even if you never continue a friendship, God is going to provide the people that you need in that time. Yeah. So even when we weren't close, God did bring other friends into my life that are still my friends now, and I was very grateful because even though I had my other best friend, Ashanti and Melanie, I had different relationships with them, and so God brought a couple other people in my life that I was able to form friendships with to kind of bridge the gap of the hole that was left when you weren't in my life at that time, you know? Yeah. Because there was a hole left.
Same.
And I think that's something to acknowledge too. You can't just act like you've had these deep friendships with people and then the friendships end and then you just act like it doesn't matter. Like it does matter.
Well, I mean, again, it just signifies that there is purpose there. And I mean, like I said, we've been tied. A lot of people have childhood friends and then you grow up or you're in a new season. It's okay. But I think what made it, we experienced a similar thing. And for me, that was the confirmation. When we talked and we really had an honest talk.
Yes.
Like we didn't have to hold, like the fact that there was nothing I said to you that I did not say to somebody else.
Right.
The fact that you forgave me, it was just, I don't know, for me, that was very significant to why we got closer after, because we really gave each other that space. And a lot of friends, unfortunately, offense takes over.
Yeah.
And they just harden their hearts, and that's it. They like side-eye the person forever, or they're just like, oh, well, it was no, I wanted to. There was no way I couldn't have life with you not in it.
Right.
So that was how I was able, and to see that reciprocated was like really sweet.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, I love you.
I love you too.
Very, very much. We will have more to talk about for sure.
Oh,
but thank you
Oh
for
my
joining me
God.
for this
I'm
topic.
so glad. Thank you for representing our clique. By the
Yes.
way.
Tell, real quickly, tell us about
Oh my God,
the-
so this is one of my latest partnerships. Shout out to my brother Nigel. If you guys who doesn't want to make their ancestors proud? And because Danny is such an awesome sister friend, DM me if you guys are interested.
Yes,
in
we'll
getting a
put her
sweatshirt.
Instagram at the bottom of your screen. So you're able to support.
The Jamaican
But yeah, I
in
hope
me.
you guys enjoyed today's podcast episode. You know, if you're going through a friendship breakup, I just want to encourage you that it's going to be okay.
Keep your heart open.
Keep your heart open.
heart open.
You know, take whatever space you may need to. And if there's an opportunity, if an opportunity presents itself for you to reconcile, I hope and pray you would put your pride aside, that you be open to having whatever conversations that you need to have. We're all human. We all need each other. And if you have to let that friendship go, just know that God will provide and bring other friendships into your life that will fulfill you and keep you feeling good and special. So tune in again for all the women I've been. Remember to subscribe, like, share, comment, and we'll see you next time.
Yay.